Hi, I'm Nathan Lundy, Head of CX.
I'm Joe Capehart. I'm a Senior Technical Specialist here at Mevo.
And we welcome you to Mevo Live, a show where we answer all your hard-hitting questions, show you a little bit about Mevo and the production and how we use it, and hopefully give you some sweet tips and tricks on how to use it for your own productions. And with us, we have Andrew. Andrew is our video director.
Hey everybody, you threw me through a wild one. You both went on at the same time. I was like, oh, they both need graphics. Hey, what's up everybody? I'm just gonna look down and confirm my graphic today because I did not do that yesterday. Hey, video director, I did it. So I am the video director. I force these guys to talk about products and then make them answer all of your amazing questions. Please populate. It looks like you guys are already in the chat. So yeah, please keep populating. And why don't we run them through what type of show, what we have going on here today.
Absolutely. All right, so for this entire production, we are using 5 Mevo. There's 4 Mevo Start. No, but no, 5 Mevo Start, and then the 6 cameras and Mevo Plus. So for this first one, we have a Mevo Start for both of us. I have one over here for Nathan. He has an individual, and then I have an individual as well, right in front of me. And one in front of Andrew. He has a table stand.
Yep, got one right here. And then I think this is my favorite shot. And I want to talk about it before we jump in. They tried to make a heart.
Oh yeah.
Can you see a heart here?
Yeah, let's see. Eesh, that's pretty weak.
So yeah, this overhead's another Mevo Start. You can see it. And then what's our wide, Joe?
And our wide is a Mevo Plus on a boost in the very back. Now all of these Mevo are running via Ethernet using either the boost or a PoE adapter.
Yes, because earlier this week we learned our lesson about wireless and how sometimes you just shouldn't use it when you know you shouldn't. So we're using our PoE adapter, which we talked about yesterday. So if you want to know more about that, you should definitely check out yesterday's episode. Yeah. So Joe, before we actually get started, I skipped this in the earlier part. What do you do for Mevo?
Sure. So my day-to-day is essentially going through some tickets, reviewing some of our articles, and then if I get some bug reports or things like that, someone's having some issues, then it's my job to make sure that I can either recreate it, report it to our engineers, that way they can come up with a solution, and then we can write a new updated article. That way you're as informed as possible.
Yeah, it's huge. And he's accompanied by Will, who you saw last week on the show, and you'll see more of next week. So yeah, great team that we have answering all your hard-hitting questions when we're not live in those scenarios. So Andrew, what do we have on the docket for today's show?
Great question. We have a really great show. Yesterday we talked all about our PoE, and that is the Power over Ethernet adapter, which is a really great adapter. We have them everywhere, as Nate was just talking about. Today we're going to talk about another favorite accessory. It's called the FenceClip. So we've got this is our lineup. What is a FenceClip? What is a FenceClip? I feel like that's an esoteric question. I don't think I know what esoteric means. How to use the FenceClip. And then, guys, we did it. We got an interview with the FenceClip creator, Gary Truesdale. And then, of course, we always have Q&As. We're trying to do it not as segmented, so I put them at the bottom, but it's basically going to be throughout. We're looking at the comments. Please continue putting in comments, and we'll get to them. Again, like we were just talking about them. Joe and Will and Nate, they all respond to the support questions. So they are the people that you're talking to. They are the most knowledgeable people when it comes to everything Mevo and kind of live streaming. I would say live streaming in general. You guys are okay. Oh, so without further ado, why don't we run them through unboxing a FenceClip?
Sure. Let's clean up some space here for a second.
Put the heart away.
Here. Some loud noises. All right. So when you get your FenceClip Mini, this is the type of box that you can expect to see it in. It's got some general information on the front, but once you pop it open, you'll be greeted with basically a quick start guide that goes step by step on how to mount your Mevo, how you can mount it to the actual chain link fence, and it talks about how to engage the piston, release the piston, and all things like that. I know the word piston just sounds so complicated, but I promise it's extremely easy. It comes with this little pouch for keeping all your gear together, which is super awesome. It's actually like microfiber cloth material, so you can always use that as well if it's clean to use that on a camera. So when you pull out the actual adapter, this is what it looks like. We're gonna get a more up close shot over with Nathan, I believe. He's got a nice angle for you to get up close and personal with it. But essentially what you're looking at there, that's the main mechanism that is gonna go into the chain link fence. And you can see him pushing in the piston right there. And all you have to do is push that in, and there's a knob to actually lock that piston in. And once you put it in place, you can release that piston, and it's going to create enough force to lock it in place. So you don't have to worry about any of your Mevo going anywhere. So it's really awesome. And then it's got the extended arm there that is multi-jointed, so you can actually adjust it accordingly and make sure that you fit it in a really nice spot that it gets the angle that you want. Very flexible mount. It's actually pretty underrated in my opinion.
Yeah, Joe, so tell me a little bit about, so it's obviously designed for being in a fence, a chain link fence, right?
Yep.
So what kind of sports do you think most people are going to be using this for?
So most likely, or at least from my experience so far with Mevo, I've been seeing a lot of baseball, softball. Then of course you have basketball. They're usually surrounded by chain link fences. But like you're not really limited because there's also upcoming sports like pickleball. I've seen that actually.
Nice.
It's very popular. There's like tournaments down in Florida that have been using Mevo for pickleball. So they have chain link fences as well. So this would be a perfect application for that as well.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense for the baseball, right? Because they normally have that chain link fence right around the bases area to kind of protect everyone from watching.
Yeah.
So you can kind of place these at first base, third base, right behind home plate.
That would be ideal, I think.
Yeah.
I think those are the three main spots for baseball. I think that is the perfect application for it.
And you were actually showing me something interesting. So I think later on in the show, we're going to show you, actually, maybe we could just show you now. We're kind of jumping ahead, I think, but I want to show you in the Facebook group how they use the FenceClip. And I'll show you a little tidbit that Joe showed me with this actually paper that they have here. So I'll pull this guy up here. So sometimes when your Mevo is sitting up there on the fence, it can get pretty hot, right? It's sometimes in direct sun, there's not very much shade. So this individual is very creative. They had this little zip-tied little helmet on it. And I think there's actually a second photo. Yeah, you can see this little helmet here to create shade for your Mevo, just in case, you know, it can't just sit out there in the baking sun and continue to work. So sometimes it's got to have a little bit of shade. So
and it seems that there's they have power going to it too. Like I like this little addition. Like this is geared to run because they are using a boost. So they they're using a plus there.
Yeah.
So you know battery life isn't as great as the Start, which you should get 6 hours in the Start. But with that, I mean, you could go all day.
Yeah, of course.
It's an all-day event.
Of course. And then the thing is with things like that is like running those extra power sources, it's huge because, I mean, you're not stressing the battery inside the Mevo, which means it's limiting the amount of heat that thing's going to put off.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're protecting it and, you know, both outside and internally by giving it some power. That way you're not just surviving off the battery life. I believe, if I remember correctly, I've seen so many of these baseball posts, but I believe this person was actually using it for a tournament. So those longer days, you know, it's not just one game that's an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, true. It's an all-day thing.
Yeah, you're there the whole day. So that great creative use for sure. So
and all that would fit in a backpack.
Yeah.
Like that, you don't need a Pelican case. You don't need. That was one of my favorite things of coming here. It's the gear is very small and packable. Like you're not breaking your back bringing that there and back into your car.
Yep. So Joe was pointing this out, didn't even notice this. On the kind of sort of quick start guide in here, there is some markings, some random kind of markings that I thought were just random lines. Kind of hard to see on the camera. Sorry, it's like white and tiny.
That one show
but
better,
oh yeah, maybe on here we can show you. Oh, look at that. You can see these little markings, and there's 2 of them. So with these markings, you can basically cut this out, and it's meant to be a little hat on the chain link. So you're meant to build a little hat like this. It clips right on. Hopefully provides you some cheap, easy shade, maybe for your first time going out with your fancy new FenceClip.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's not even all that it comes with it. It actually comes with the microfiber cloth for your camera. And then it comes with some security clips. That way, if you're concerned, I mean, we've seen some Mevo get hit by baseballs before.
Yeah.
So if you're concerned that might be the case and it might fall to the ground, you can secure it with a a little clip, so you can actually clip it to the chain link fence if it falls off the mount, which I don't see that happening with this specific mount, but if it does, you have a secondary security
a little
blanket.
safety clip for it.
So
I think one of the other things too is you're probably wondering how much this thing costs, which I think we've got a little video that's going to explain a bunch of things here that you guys shot earlier.
Yeah, that was my first time really getting into it, so I think Andrew's ready to show us this.
Yeah, so we had the pleasure of having Joe set this up. We have a basketball court around the corner, and he showed us how to set it up. We don't have a fence here, so we forced him to go outside and get some sunshine, which he doesn't get enough.
Oh wow!
And set up a little fence clip. So here's how to set up the fence clip.
Hey everyone, I'm Joe Capehart and I'm the Senior Technical Specialist here at Mevo. Today I want to talk to you about the Mevo FenceClip. Now the Mevo FenceClip is a mount that allows you to mount your Mevo on any chain link fence. With social distancing being the new normal, it's more important now than ever to be able to broadcast your events and your organization's matches to family and friends or anybody who may be able to watch who otherwise wouldn't be able to attend. It's extremely easy to actually use one of these. All you need to do is compress the piston, tighten it. Once it's compressed, you can put it into the fence, release the piston, and you'll notice it's nice and secure. We even include this long extended arm, so you can adjust your Mevo however you see fit, and you can trust that your Mevo is not going to go anywhere. Now you can buy the Mevo FenceClip for $99 today at mevo.com.
Well, thanks. Hopefully you guys found that video useful. I did want to point out though, as you could tell, the way that I was actually mounting that was on the side of the action. So typically you would turn the camera around and point through the fence, which actually provides some protection for your Mevo as well. You don't have to worry about it sticking out where it can get hit by any random
Or you could just risk it, put it right inside the action box. Whatever's happening, just hope for the best, fingers crossed, and it survives.
And you can toss that footage up on YouTube. I mean, I guess it could be worth it.
Exactly. So I think one thing we didn't mention so far, he mentioned in the video, but we want to show you where you can find it right now. Tidbit, there might be something coming later that you can use to buy this, but on our website, you can go to accessories, and you'll see a host of other accessories, other ways to mount, like the table stand and floor stand, even a case if you want a Mevo Start case. But for today, this is our fence clip right here. You can find out a little information for it, kind of see exactly what it looks like on the website, some photos of how it's mounted and so forth. So yeah, check out it on the website. You can buy them now. We're in stock. Go to town.
Yeah, no, I definitely jump on that opportunity. I honestly don't think, with all the sports coming, I mean, they've really been, there's really been a really big need to stream all of these things. And I know I mentioned it in the video with social distancing. I know even at the collegiate level, they're not allowing full capacity crowds to come check out the event. So there's no better time than now to actually stream your event, whether sport or any event that's around a chain link fence. And if it's not a chain link fence, as you've seen in the accessories page, we have 2 other stands that can help you get your event live. If your crowd's not able to come to you, let's take it to the crowd.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'll also add that I love this thing because it's got a standard, man, I always forget, what's the...
Is the quarter inch?
Quarter inch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Quarter 20, are those different?
Yeah, quarter 20.
Yeah, so it has a standard quarter 20, which obviously Mevo Start has a million ways to connect, so that'll work. But like, for instance, we've got these, I'll talk about Audible, we've got these little lights I've talked about before, and they use quarter 20 on the bottom. So you could get a fence clip for your Mevo, and you can get something to attach some other accessories to, something to keep in mind. But without further ado, I feel like I should have like a little sound effect for every time I say that. Without further ado, let's go to some questions. We're already seeing these pile up. Thank you all for pumping them in there through YouTube and Facebook and all of our groups. And please like and subscribe. So today we've got Patrick Storm, and this is a really important question. Not perfectly camera related, but it's definitely about live streaming related. So let's see. Patrick Storm, what switcher router are you using to network? Nate, what do you think? What
Yeah,
are you
great
using?
question. So for this exact setup that we have here, we're actually using the Netgear Orbi. I'm going to pull up a couple images of it so you can see here. It's a mesh network, so it's meant to be paired up with a couple of them, I believe, 2 or 3, to create like a really massive network. But we've actually just got one right here next to our production, and it seems to be doing a great job. We previously were using a Ubiquiti router, but it's on the other side of our room here. So we also had our normal computers and cell phones and things, so we wanted to just create a dedicated network right over here in the main area. And then we have a switch running off of that for all our wired PoE adapters. But yeah, great router to use. Honestly though, these days, routers are pretty great. As long as you kind of buy something a little bit more high end in the price range, a router will work just fine.
Yeah, and I mean, as he said, we had created a dedicated network, and we recommend that for all of our users to do that. The last thing you want is some unwanted, traffic, network traffic that can cause some random drops and things like that. So to eliminate that, and you should just have everything that's on your stream on the same network, and then leave everything unrelated to the stream off of it. That way you don't have to worry about things like that. But yes, the Orbi has been working fantastic for us.
Yeah, and I'll also say that Joe is probably one of the most knowledgeable people when it comes to networking. So I think it's also, we talked about it, but just to highlight for everybody that we have this router, but then we use a switcher also with homemade cables that we talked about yesterday by Joe. Cables. And they all go to Ethernet power adapters that are also sold on our website. Shout out, go to the accessories page. We got it pulled up here. But we got another question. Let me just throw this up.
Yeah.
But our next question is from Marvin Dowdy, and this talks a lot about sporting events. So I think pretty apt. All right, let's see. Marvin Dowdy. Since the Mevo Start is largely used for sporting events, is there plans to integrate a basic scoreboard as an overlay without going through a long process? A extra would be the possibility of a parent joining the same network or Bluetooth and them able to change the score live, or the ability to adding video as an overlay, a sponsor commercial at halftime or inner break.
So we kind of touched on it. I think it was a question yesterday, or it was definitely a question this week.
Yeah.
These shows are really starting to come together. But we talked about it a little bit, specifically with the multicam beta app. As that app continues to progress, more features like this are definitely considered to be released in the future. I mean, we don't have a timeline or an if and yes. Like, we can't really tell you yes, no, when. But as it progresses, more features like this are definitely considered to be added. You'll definitely see some improvements in graphics in general, so definitely keep an eye out for that. However, at this time, we don't have really a timeline or an absolute answer for when or if that actually comes.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw somebody earlier this week that was pretty creative with how they did like baseball, and it worked out pretty well. We know it's probably not the easiest workflow in how they did it. If you haven't watched that, I think it was on the Monday show. You can go check that clip out, or in the Facebook group. But it's possible, just not like quite as easy as you're probably asking it to be. Hopefully soon.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I definitely know there's also the third-party applications out there that make it possible using the Mevo using RTMP.
Yep.
So there's definitely some users out there that are already doing something like this. It's just not integrated naturally already. So yeah, I would definitely keep an eye out for
sure.
updates.
It's a great question. Why SDC, our favorite Paul?
Oh yeah, Paul.
Back in there asking, will the Mevo be able to use animated PNGs in the future? And this is actually a good point to talk about, that we pull questions from yesterday's show that we didn't get to, or obviously the ones that are coming in live. So always comment. Even if we don't get to it, we may get to it tomorrow. So yeah, please put those comments and questions. This is another question that happened yesterday, so that's why I'm calling it out. So will the Mevo be able to play animated PNGs?
Good question. I can give you a little insight to actually how we're already doing it. So when you use a countdown clock, it's actually creating an image sequence that we then play back off of your Start or off of your Plus for that matter. But I'm sure you're asking more along the lines of, can you create your own custom ones? So as of right now, you can't. I know there were talks back in the day about bringing this feature to the current Mevo app. I don't know where that's actually currently standing, but I can tell you this is definitely on the feature list for the multicam app. So no guarantees, but I know it's something that a lot of people probably want. So fingers crossed it happens.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, it's definitely a highly requested feature. And as everyone already knows, a lot of the features that were highly requested have slowly made their way into the app this year. So there's definitely no, there's no reason why not to request or kind of like ping and say, hey, we still want this. So we're definitely listening. Just keep on pinging us with things like that, and we'll definitely consider moving forward. You know, we just have to kind of prioritize and make sure we get all the ducks in a row before we launch a new project, really.
Yep, exactly.
And this is a great one from Josh Heimer. Thank you, Josh. Howdy.
Howdy.
Howdy from Bremond, Texas. Howdy.
What's up? How's it going?
Yeah.
Thanks for watching the show.
We were just talking about football, and every time I think of Texas, I always think of football. I love it.
So actually, I was looking at the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
Shivaneth, I think. Sorry if I butchered that name. I was asking, is there any, are there any drop or loss in performance as a number of mesh nodes increase the respect to NDI? So I think you were asking, like, if you use a mesh network, does it hurt the performance of NDI? So correct me if I'm wrong, but technically, yes, it could, because if you talk about the initial node where you're plugging in your Ethernet connection, the next node that you have is technically half the bandwidth of the original one. So if you have a Mevo connected to that kind of secondary mesh portion, then you technically could see some bandwidth, but most of the time these days with how routers work, it's generally plenty fast enough to do it. So unless you're running a really, really old mesh network, you shouldn't have any problems using something like the Orbi or something current like Google Wi-Fi even to handle kind of separating out those Mevos and connections. Great question.
Great question. I like the highly technical ones. I like when we mix those between every other question. I find myself just sitting and staring and just listening to the answer. I'm like, oh yeah, interesting. And then I'm like, oh, I got to work. So Patrick Storm back at it. Let's see. Any feedback on low light applications? I think, so we actually have a clip that's coming up that is backlit and low light. So you'll be able to see that, and it was shot. It wasn't recorded, so it was shot in a Mevo Start, but it was streaming. So it's live to tape to an interview. And I think it's a really good example of which is a little bit lower res than if you were recording HEVC at 50 megabits per second, which is obviously, like, if you had the choice, that's how you should record. It's the highest megabit, it's the highest bit rate. But you can see it still performs really well in low light. It's a good use case, but how do you guys feel about low light?
I think it's definitely a big jump from where we were with the Plus. I know that was definitely some good feedback that we got with that. I think there's, it's great. We have room to grow, but I think it's definitely in the right direction. And of course, any camera still is going to love light. So definitely don't set yourself up in a dark room just thinking, the Mevo is going to carry your way through the dark light. Dark light, I don't think that's a term. but it's going to help you, but it's not a supplement for actual light. It's not going to be able to correct a dark room. So I think it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think we had a clip from New Lab that we were helping out with some video that they were doing, which is our half of our office is in New Lab. It's a co-working space for hardware companies. Shout out to them. What up? And so we helped out do a little Zoom call for them and a little stream that they did. And it has some nice skylight light, but for the most part, it's actually a pretty dark room. And so with just a single light, we were able to kind of light the subject matter and everything going on with it. And it looked great. It looked really amazing, and they were really happy with the results. So I'd say, pretty sweet.
Yeah, the Mevo Start's definitely doing things.
It is.
Yeah, and to jump on Joe's point, if you have the option, use light, right? We use a lot of light here. We're in a pretty dark warehouse in a studio, and I have 3 lights, not including the ones behind me. I have 3 lights on me currently. and it just, personally, I think that the Start just looks best when there's a lot of fill light. We do have some examples on stages on the website, but yeah, I think that you should just use light if you can. It's possible, but the more light the better. Let's see. StreamBiz has another question. It says it's a bit off topic, but what is the best FPS to stream? And I think that depends, but I'll let you guys take it away.
Yeah, so Start handles PAL format and then up to 30 frames on the higher end for NTSC. So unfortunately, you don't have that many options with Start. Maybe just in general though, honestly, unless you're shooting sports, 30 is all you need. YouTube even tears most videos down to 24 frames or 23 frames, and that's just to save bandwidth on their part. So honestly, nothing more than 30 unless you're shooting sports and you want that really high actiony, high frame rate look to it. Yeah, 30 is more than enough.
See, I'm learning things. Like I know some of that, but I didn't realize that platforms were breaking things down like that. Yeah. I knew during the influx of streams because of COVID, I knew they were dropping some resolutions.
Yeah.
So no, I was in that place where you were, Andrew, where you're paying attention to his answer and you're like, wait a second, I think I have stuff I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, George Blatz. Is there an adapter to plug charger and webcam at the same time for Mevo Plus?
No, there's not. I mean, you can technically split the micro USB. I think that would work.
Charger and webcam at the same time. No, yeah, that's good. Great. Yeah,
yeah,
no.
That in theory that should work, but we've never tried that. So I mean, there's not technically an adapter that we support. That's definitely something we can look into. I know doing like a micro USB splitter has worked for other devices, but the way that USB is done for UVC could complicate whether that works, which is kind of partially why the boost doesn't work with the Plus while you're trying to use webcam. So I could see where it could be a conflict.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it's plugged into your computer, we automatically only draw 1/2 amp. That's because USB ports are limited to that amount of power. So you'll notice if you have a perfectly charged Mevo Plus or first gen, you'll notice that the battery will not decrease in the amount of in the 1 hour, but it'll last around 6 to 7 hours is what it should last, because it's slowly draining, because that 1/2 amp isn't quite enough to keep the camera alive continually. With Start though, you have a different situation where USB-C ports can send more than enough power down the line. They're like allowed to. So then Start will never discharge. It will slightly discharge at some point just to trickle charge the battery, but will stay charged throughout its use.
Yeah, great points. Let's see this. I was trying to figure out. So this next question, I'll just jump into it. He asked, Dennis, what would I attach to a net with? And I don't know if you could use the FenceClip on a net, right?
I wouldn't expect so, because the way that the piston works is it needs that solid frame, essentially. It's pushing against the chain link. So that's how it's staying in place. So this technically wouldn't work for a net. I've heard of users using other third-party mounts, but I honestly don't know if even those would work, because they're all steel and very heavy, and they would probably make the net sag quite a bit. So off the top of my head, I really don't have a solution for a net. You might be better off using a floor mount or something.
Yeah, floor mount. Just put a floor mount and put it right up against the net, because the net you could actually kind of fold over the lens, so you wouldn't even see the net. Yeah, that's probably what I would do. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, because like I'm thinking net probably like for a pitcher, right? Like that's how they practice.
Or like maybe soccer, like a soccer goal.
Oh yeah, that's
something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using a soccer goal, you could probably find
like a clamp, a C-clamp.
Yeah, you could find exactly. I would just use a clamp, and then we have the back of the Mevo Start has a million adapters for kind of any situation. So probably clamp it. That's a safe bet. But good question. All right, last question from Fred Head. Will y'all have handheld mobile tripods available for the Mevo soon? What do you think?
I think that it's a great feature, and we should shout out to the hardware team, hardware team, roadmap team, to decide, potentially
Going there.
what the market is for that. Definitely, thanks for the request. I think it's a good idea.
All right, one last question.
Oh, sneaking one more on this.
Yeah. This one I read and I giggled. I don't know if you could hear me on the mic, but let's see, StreamBiz, are jetpacks good to use with the Mevo?
Are you thinking the ones that go to space,
actually.
or are you thinking the cellular ones?
We were
that you
talking
connect?
SpaceX earlier,
I was
so
thinking, I was
Yeah,
thinking
we've got launcher too, so
Yeah.
they're always
of course.
always trying to use the Mevo to record some of the things. I'm assuming they're talking about the mobile hotspot type things, the mobile routers. I mean, we've had great success, or we've had reports of great success. As far as internal testing, we probably haven't done that in quite a while because most of the things that worked with the Mevo Plus continue to work with the Mevo Start. But we've definitely had users that have had great success with jetpacks or even other brands of the mobile modems or routers that work with like Verizon and places like that. So I think that it's probably a good route to go. I'm sure you could probably search whether it seems that you're on YouTube. If you go check out the Mevo customer group on Facebook, if you check out that search feature in there and just give a jetpack a quick search, I'm sure you'll see some results of other users successfully using it.
For sure. Yeah, just make sure you don't have too many devices connected, because I think they're only allowed to have 5. So if you're trying to use them heavily with like your laptop and other things, probably not going to be great. Make sure it's dedicated to the Mevo.
Definitely. And another thing with those is they do run off of the SIM card of the mobile carrier. So they are still very dependent on the signal you're getting from the nearby tower. So depending on if it's a congested tower, where you live, what type of tower it is, you could see fluctuation in actual performance. It's not going to be as good as a standard provider that you'd find in a business or a home. But it's definitely a solution for those who are out and about in the field for sports, which seems to be what we're talking about today. So definitely check it out. I think you might be pleased.
You might be.
There you go, jetpacks. Good thing. So next up we have our head of marketing, Otto Cedeno. He sat down and talked to, and if you have questions on how we did this, sorry, my brain's jumping, but I'm happy to answer them afterwards. But he sat down for an interview with the creator of the FenceClip, Gary Truesdale. I hope you...
Well, welcome to New Lab. This is an amazing co-working space here in Brooklyn, New York, where Mevo headquarters is actually a couple paces that way. I'm Otto Cedeno. I'm head of marketing at Mevo, and today we have our very first inaugural guest on the live show. A few weeks ago, if you remember, this awesome product called the FenceClip debuted in our accessory store on Mevo.com. And honestly, we're just so blown away by this amazing product that we wanted to talk to its creator. And so with us on our first live show guest interview is Gary Truesdale, all the way from California. Hey, Gary, how are you?
Hey, I'm great, Otto. Thank you for having me on. Great to be here.
Thanks for joining us, and thank you for building and coming up with this awesome accessory. This is a great solution for so many things. Walk us through the ideation of FenceClip, the and why you started this amazing product and company.
Yeah, my daughters were players. They were playing softball, and like a lot of parents, you just want to get that video. You want to get, there's big hits, there's big plays, there's exciting things. All the kids on the team, and parents want to record that. And I was like that as well. And when you see video of a baseball game, what you typically see is you see the fence, right? And then you see a game going on behind it. That's what youth sports baseball looks like. Well, if you take that camera and walk it all the way up to the fence and put it right in one of those openings, the fence is out of the shot and you are looking like you're standing on the field behind the umpire, and you can see that game, and you get those big plays and you get that video. And that's what I started doing. It was very rudimentary at first. We're really an engineering company. Every chance we get, we're making improvements, and the Mini you have in your hand with the positioning arm on it, that's our latest unit. That's our highest tech, brand new device.
So a couple things you touched on that I want to highlight for the community watching. This FenceClip, specifically the arm, one of the things I really love about this is the industrial design. So for those who have had it or played with it, and for those who hopefully will get it soon, you'll notice there's only one tightening arm here on this product. And if I loosen it, it loosens 2 ball mounts and also tightens this sort of connector piece here. And if I tighten it, all 3 things are perfectly held in place with one arm, which is kind of amazing and fascinating. Can you walk us through like what inspired this industrial design, or like how this came to be? Because it is quite cool.
Yeah, so we did a lot of work on that, Otto, but I can't take credit for designing that device. Those have been around for a long time. You know, I've seen them 20 years ago. I saw those. They're called Magic Arms, and they're used in photography. They're used in labs. They're used when you, just like you just said, when you want to easily position something using one knob. So they've been around, and but we took that design and built one specifically for us, the right size to put on a fence, and it's beefy. When you crank that knob down, Otto, you could stand on that thing and it won't budge.
100%.
So it's what it's doing.
Yeah, beefy's a good word for it. It's really, it's a great application of an existing design and applying it to this product. Oh, it's great.
Yeah, thank you. We're really happy with that. What it does is it makes it easy, right? It makes it easy to put the camera right where you want it. Get whatever angle you want, get whatever shot you want.
Sure.
That's the advantage.
And really, the usage is quite simple. So obviously there's a screw here where the camera would go Mevo Start, Mevo Plus, articulating arm to adjust the actual shot. And this is the part that's pretty cool too, is there's a spring here, and then there's these 2 divots that go between the fence. Position that on the actual fence link, it snaps into place, holds your camera, and then away you go. You're into production mode and worrying about getting the shot as opposed to worrying about rigging this piece. You know, with that, what are some other applications you've seen people use FenceClip for? So obviously, really obvious choice for capturing softball and baseball. That makes a ton of sense. Have you seen anything creative from the community that's using FenceClip?
They're doing a ton of stuff with it. I mean, that's the number one purpose people are using it, is to make those game films. But like I described, you know, where you're videoing your kids and getting a highlight, that's just where this thing begins, right? There is, sure. You have the ability to, you know, with the Mevo Start, you can put overlays on there, and you can produce a game, right? You can actually produce what looks like an MLB game on your Mevo Start, with scoring and all those different components built into the broadcast. So some of the other things they do, there are radars that you can put up on a fence. Typically, you know, you'll see, like if you see it in movies, what's that Brad Pitt movie, Moneyball, right? You know, the scouts are standing at the fence with their radar. Well, now you can get little cheap radars that you can mount on the fence. You plug that in, and you can get that data right in your live stream from your on your Mevo Start. It's amazing. It's amazing what incredible. You can do. Yeah,
and it's such a great tool for families. I mean, like the other components that you can bring in. What once felt like a very complicated thing to imagine producing a complicated feed of a Little League game or a softball game. It's hard to get those resources, and now with your product and with Mevo Starts and Pluses that are in the wild, it's becoming easier, and that's one of our goals at Mevo, is to try to build products that make streaming, your life's events easier. So one last question for you, specifically in the filming sports world. It's obviously a lot of elements. You're dealing with weather, you're dealing with sunlight, you're dealing with sometimes lower connectivity out in the fields. Any tips and tricks for anyone that's streaming out there, out in the elements, specifically maybe doing sports? Anything that you've uncovered in your experience of doing sports streaming?
Yeah, I have a long list of recommendations. They're in the instructions in the box, and but the biggest tip I would give people: number one, get everything ready the night before. Get it, here. Well, let me step back. I mean, you and I are here. We're in a studio where you have everything you need, and you can still have challenges, right? When you go remote, it's more difficult because you need to have everything. You need to know everything's going to work before you leave your house. And typically you do that the night before, charge your batteries, test everything, you bench test everything, and know it's going to work when you get it on the fence. So that would be my biggest tip. It'd be to do that the night before and get everything ready. I like to have a bag or a case that I put everything I'm going to need in, right? So my extra batteries, my cables to charge things, the Mevo Start and the FenceClip, everything ready to go in that bag. So when you get to the field, you can just put it on the fence and film. And that's, that's the best situation. And I've got to tell you, Otto, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, that ease of use and that ability to get that great streaming or video. The Mevo Start is perfect for that. You guys have helped a lot of people get great game video at baseball fields. And so I'm thrilled with this relationship. I'm thrilled with partnering with you guys. I think Mevo Start is the #1 camera for baseball and softball.
Well, your words, not mine, by the way. So thank you for saying it. That's a very nice compliment.
Yep.
And agreed. Likewise, we're huge fans of this product. It serves a great purpose for sports streaming outside, again, specifically baseball and softball, but probably a million other things that if you ever need to clip a Mevo to a fence and stream it, we have a solution for you now in the accessory store. Gary, thank you so much for joining us. But before I let you go, this is for you, the rest of the community. If you were maybe on the fence about getting a FenceClip, we have a special discount code for you that we're going to put, I don't know, probably somewhere down here. Use code on the fence, literally, to get $20 off a FenceClip for the next 24 hours on Mevo.com. Go to our accessory store, add it to cart, use the code, enjoy this amazing product. Gary, thank you so much for jumping on the show, and the rest of the community, we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Otto. Thank you for having me here. And thank you for that great offer. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Anytime.
And I always love a good discount code, so I'm going to pull this graphic down and announce it one more time. There's a discount code! And that is, just to reiterate, Otto, you did a great job interviewing Gary, but it's $20 off on the fence. Also, great name.
Great
I believe
name.
it's 24 hours only.
I do.
But yeah, amazing stuff. So go to our store. Can you maybe pop up the store real quick?
Love to. Definitely pop up the store.
On the fence, show them how easy it is to save $20.
Yep, you go right to our main website, boom. Once you're there, you're gonna go to accessories, and then you're gonna see the FenceClip. Add this to your cart, apply the code at checkout, $20 off. I think it's only for today only, right?
Yeah, it's 24 hours. So you got 24 hours and share it.
Please share it. Use it with your friends. We want to sell some FenceClips because we love it. And thanks to Gary for doing an interview with us. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool to get some of the backstory about like what inspired someone to do things. I always love to hear like the business background of, because not everyone just woke up and was like, I'm going to create this business. And it's like, well, everybody's usually trying to solve their problem, only to realize that it's actually a lot of people have that need. So
yep, exactly.
It's really cool to hear that.
And I was happy that we were able to partner with them and get them on the website and make it part of our little family as well.
And one thing that he talked about also that I think is such an important point is preparing that go bag the night before. It's something that we definitely all do here. You test your equipment. You're going to be in the field. You're not going to be around. I mean, you may have to like drive to a Best Buy or something. So you set a table that's a clean table and test the stream. Do a stream to an Only Me Facebook page. Test, and retest. And you have a lot less resources. It's pretty easy to go live with a Mevo Start in your home. Doing that on a field, you may forget some stuff, always charge it. But yeah, if you were on the fence, to steal Otto's line, please use that discount code. And we have a ton of questions coming in, but I think we'll answer them tomorrow.
Or on next week's show.
Oh my goodness, I forgot.
We're too excited.
Show.
Should we just do a show tomorrow, guys? Should we just make
that's what I heard.
a Friday only Q&A show where it's 15 minutes of just hard-hitting questions?
I like that idea.
I'm okay
Oh
with this.
man.
Yeah.
I'm okay with this.
Well, let's see how the discussion goes tonight. We can all regroup and decide. Maybe we'll answer all those tomorrow. But if we don't answer them tomorrow, we'll answer them next week or in the chat along the way. And you can always head to the Facebook group and join the Facebook group if you haven't. You can get a lot of questions answered there. We have a massive group of over 10,000 people in there that are just helping people solve their issues and their problems and questions.
Lots of people have been there for years.
They have.
Years.
Yeah, you were one of them.
I was, but
before all of this.
I was actually, it's funny, funny story. Will thought that I was Art. He thought I had a ghost account.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, no, Art has been around since 2016. I only came in at 2017. Art knows more than I do.
Yeah, shout out Art.
That's Art. Great dude.
Amazing. And he's even in these, he posts in here sometimes. If you have any questions, if if you have any questions, ask him too.
Yeah, he's a great contributor, great part of the team,
Yes.
unofficial team.
Unofficial team.
Yeah, love having him around. So.
Well, thank you very much for joining our little show here at Mevo. We hope to see you next time. Stay in contact in our groups and our socials, and we will see you in the next show.
Absolutely. As always, if you have any concerns, questions, or issues, reach out to us at help.mevo.com. Myself, Nathan, or Will be happy to help you walk through any issues you may be having.
Yeah, and please use that code. And if you want to reach out to me or anyone on the team, Facebook group is a really great way to do that. If you have any questions, put them in the comments section. Please like and subscribe so you can know when we go live and maybe save some more money. We plan to do a lot more of these discount codes. And we always want to hear from you. So give us some feedback if you like what we're doing, maybe something we can help with or better on. And on the fence, go put it in. Enjoy. All right, have a good night, everybody.